What if I told you that a 2,400-year-old military manual held the keys to winning? And I don't just mean in war, but in business, in negotiations, even in your own personal challenges. For centuries, leaders have turned to Sun Tzu's The Art of War, and today we're going to break down its timeless strategic toolkit.
We've all been there, right? Face these conflicts that feel completely overwhelming, where it seems like all the odds are stacked against you. So how do you win a battle that feels impossible?
Well, the answer, according to the legendary general Sun Tzu, is probably not what you'd expect. He wrote, "Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting." You see, this isn't a book about brute force. It's a guide to some seriously profound strategic intelligence.
All right, so let's dig into the first tool in Sun Tzu's strategic kit, the powerful art of actually getting the victory without ever having to draw your sword. You know, Sun Tzu actually ranks a leader's skills in a hierarchy. The absolute best strategy? Foil the enemy's plans before they even get off the ground. Next up, disrupt their alliances so they can't join forces. Actually fighting their army in the field? That's only third on the list. And the absolute worst policy of all? Laying siege to a fortified city. Now, why is this so bad? Because it's a massive drain on your most precious resources, your time, your momentum, and your morale. Sun Tzu points out it can take months of just prep work, building shelters, piling up mounds of earth, all while your own strength is just fading away. It's the kind of victory that can cost you almost as much as a defeat. So if direct conflict is the absolute last resort, what's the very first step? Well, it's all about preparation. Let's move to our second tool, a powerful checklist of 5 constant factors that you have to master before you even think about making a move. The first factor, and you could argue it's the most important, is what he calls the moral law. Now, this isn't just about ethics. It's about a leader being in such complete harmony with their people that they will follow them anywhere, face any danger, because they have this fundamental trust in the cause and in the leadership. So here's the full checklist. You've got the moral law we just talked about. Then there's heaven. That means understanding the conditions, the weather, the time of day, the season. Earth, that's knowing the terrain, the distances, the dangers. The commander, which is all about the leader's own virtues. And finally, method and discipline, making sure you have a well-organized and structured force. You master these 5, and you are already well on your way to winning. Okay, so you've done your preparation. Your foundation is solid. Now for the third tool in the kit, and believe me, this one is a game changer. Deception. For Sun Tzu, all warfare is based on it.
He breaks it down into 2 types of attack. The direct, or cheng, is your obvious expected move. It's what you use to engage your opponent, to fix them in place. But victory, Sun Tzu says, is secured by the indirect, the qi. That's the surprising, unexpected maneuver that your opponent just never sees coming. You really need both working together.
And the tactics here are pure psychology. Seem unable when you are totally able to attack. Seem weak to make your opponent arrogant and careless. If they have a short temper, poke them, irritate them. The whole goal is to control their perception of reality so they react in ways that you can totally predict and exploit.
This all leads us to what is probably the most famous principle in the entire art of war, our fourth tool, the absolute necessity of intelligence. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. It's just such a simple, powerful idea. Victory isn't about luck or just brute strength. It's about having superior information.
And this slide turns that proverb into some really clear, almost mathematical insight. If you know both yourself and your enemy, you can pretty much guarantee victory. But if you only know yourself, it's a coin toss. You'll win one, you'll lose one. And if you know neither, Sun Tzu is blunt. You will be defeated in every single battle.
But where does this foreknowledge actually come from?
Sun Tzu is incredibly practical here. He says it doesn't come from spirits or some abstract calculation. In chapter 13, he states it comes from one source and one source only: other men. In fact, he dedicates the entire last chapter to the effective use of spies. All right, let's move to our final tool, and it all comes down to the leader. Sun Tzu believed that victory or defeat ultimately rests on the character of the commander. So he gives us a very clear checklist of what not to be. He lays out these 5 dangerous faults that will absolutely lead to disaster. Recklessness, which leads to destruction. Cowardice, leading to capture. A hasty temper, which means you can be easily provoked. An over-the-top sense of honor, which makes you too sensitive to shame. And get this, even being too protective of your people, which leads to hesitation and worry. So here you can see the direct contrast, right? On one side, you have the 5 virtues we saw earlier: wisdom, sincerity, benevolence, courage, and strictness. And on the other, you've got the 5 fatal flaws. So effective leadership is really about cultivating those virtues while constantly guarding against the faults. So the crucial point is this: the ultimate leader, the consummate leader, combines that deep character, that moral law that builds trust and unity, with pure competence, which is method and discipline. It's this fusion that gives them the power to actually control success. So, after all these principles and all these checklists, what's the big takeaway? Well, Sun Tzu's wisdom isn't some rigid formula you just follow to the letter. It's a flexible, adaptable state of mind for navigating any challenge with intelligence and foresight. Winning without fighting: the 5 factors of preparation, the art of deception, the power of knowledge, and the character of a true leader. The tools are timeless, so the only question left is, what is your next move?